let's get into J. Cole, okay? So, J. Cole's not the only artist I want to get into. There's quite a few, actually, that are releasing albums this year. Mm-hmm. So, as you know, J. Cole dropped his album KOD today, which is Kids on Drugs.
What's it? Kids on Drugs and King's Overdose, and what's the other one?
I can't remember what the third one was, actually. That was the one I was trying to remember that right now.
In 2 seconds.
Right. So he dropped that today. Drake is also releasing a new album June 29th, I believe, entitled Scorpion. Uh-huh. And it reminds me of the movie Drive with Ryan Gosling, the jacket. Because he had the scorpion on the back of it. I'm like, yo, I've seen this before.
You're killing me right now.
I'm dead serious, though. Like, I'm not even trying to roast him. I'm like, yo, I swear Ryan Gosling had that look. But whatever, that's cool. That's cool. I'm with it. I'm not even roasting. And then Kanye and Kid Cudi announced that they're doing a dual album sometime in the summertime as well. I think June 8th is what I saw. I could be wrong on that.
Yep, June 8th.
June 8th, okay.
Kanye solo is June 1st.
June 1st. Okay.
Yeah.
So
the other thing that it is Kill Our Demons.
Kill Our Demons. Okay, yeah, you're right. Okay, so clearly you're not excited about one of these albums. I'll say this though. I've listened to the J. Cole album. I listened to it literally right before I got here. This is easily his most darkest album. He's basically just talking about the status of a lot of these young people growing up. A lot of people who are part of that generation of listening to the artists who are just talking about lean and Xanax and all these other things in between as well. And he's kind of addressing that. He's not coming from a preachy standpoint because I think that's where you kind of lose your audience in a sense. But I think he's talking about it from a first person perspective, very similar to how Kendrick Lamar was kind of detailing that in Section 80 way back in the day. Mm-hmm. And I feel like with J. Cole, oh my God, I feel like with J. Cole, he's basically changing up his style in terms of his delivery basically. So he doesn't really sound like the same J. Cole. He's kind of added a few nuances to his delivery style in terms of using the staccato flow and all these other things in between, for example. Production's gotten a bit better on this one, I would say. I'm not gonna rank it right now because it's too early. It's way too early for that. Sure. But it's definitely very refreshing to hear a different take on Cole in terms, not just in terms of subject matter, but in terms of how he's delivering his lyrics now. So it's almost like a tune-up in a sense, I would say. Beyond that, I would definitely say that it was better than For Your Eyes Only. I feel like that was the album that he kind of lost me on, to be honest. Not because of the content, but I felt like his production on there was very it was very redundant, to be honest. And I tried to like it too. I tried.
I feel like the big thing about For Your Eyes Only is with most albums that are just I'm dropping an album tomorrow.
Yeah.
It doesn't give you an opportunity to actually vet your audience, right?
Right.
And J. Cole is definitely somebody that needs to pretty much vet his audience.
But does he really though? Because he does units.
He does units.
Yeah.
But I was discussing this because he exists his class, Drake, Kendrick Lamar, A$AP Rocky. All of those people were the last people that existed in a class where it's our first instinct is to buy or support. Mm-hmm. Now the instinct is all I have to do is stream.
Right.
And then I'm going to move on to another album.
Right.
You're not important. You know what I mean? You have to basically put on a huge show and give them a ton of things to purchase before they'll get to purchasing your album. They'd rather purchase your clothes. They'd rather purchase your app. There's a bunch of things that they'll purchase other than purchasing your music. So, we talked about this. You can become an icon by doing everything and then dropping, one song.
Right.
You know what I mean? Music is not the most important thing. But I feel like the big thing is that, for me, For Your Eyes Only, I dare say, might be my favorite J. Cole project.
Okay.
For the fact that I feel like it's the most consistent, project overall. He keeps the subject matter, and he's very clear, and it's very, refreshing to me because of the fact that, you can feel it. For instance, when he dropped the Neighbors video, because the cops, broke into his house.
Okay, the neighbors think of selling dope. My God, that's one of my favorites.
You know what I'm saying? There's just so much dope moments, and then even how I feel like he did so well in capturing how it feels to have a child. And he did that for his homie.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And being able to have that conversation, it was yo, that's real. That's dope. That's an honest moment, and it was consistent throughout. And that's the reason why the production, in my opinion, was so
minimal
was because there was a story that needed to be told.
Right.
But then also I feel like he was getting real in tune with like his jazz influence.
Right.
Yeah,
And you know, I understand that, like, because, like, people kind of compare him to Nas in that sense where the production can be somewhat lackluster, but because of the content he delivers, he kind of makes up for that. But I feel like you can still be a dope storyteller and still have, like, quality production at the same time, which is why I always point to Kendrick Lamar. He always has stellar production, and he tells, like, some amazing narratives, in my opinion. Him and Lupe Fiasco, I kind of put those guys in that regard as far as good production and good storytelling.
But the reason
is because, and this is one of my biggest issues with J. Cole,
Okay.
is that for some reason he has this like bone to pick where he feels like he needs all the credit for everything that he does, so he has to produce at least 80%,
Right.
and he has to not have features. Like,
Right.
bro, just have a feature, bro.
Yeah, I know, right?
Just
You know what?
Just give us a what, like.
I guess you know what
It could be ego. It could be looking at his budget, for example, for the album. Like, you never know what's going on in his head, right? Because there are a lot of artists who have like a lot of pride and a lot of ego when it comes to that. Like Big Crit, for example, was someone who kind of had that same mentality as well. And then he opened up about reaching out to other producers. Like he reached out to like Ninth Wonder, for example, for production. And he's like, wow,
And
all
the
I have to
last-
do now is focus on my lyrics. I have to
and the
focus on
last Crit
beats.
project was phenomenal.
Woo!
The last Crit project
Forever
reminded
is
me
a
of
mighty
fucking-
long time.
It reminded me of Crit Was Here.
That
was like
it did.
you know what I mean?
I agree.
It was
That
so
was
good. I
the
was
most
so happy for
soulful
that,
album
bro.
of 2017.
I was so
If it weren't
happy
for
for that.
Damn and 444, that would have been my favorite album last year. That was like, man, I want to put it up there. But 444, I needed that from Jay.
That's why even though it's just being in the conversation is enough.
Yeah, no, that album was great. Like I was wondering why it took him so long to come out with an album. Like, all right, you know what? It's a double album. It sounds amazing. I'll give you that, Chris. I'll give you that. But let's move on though. Let's move on.
right.
We also got Kanye coming out with an album in June as well. What are you heavily anticipating that? Like, what's your take on that?
Everybody knows like I'm basically Kanye's son, so
Yeah, you're definitely a Kanye stan for sure. For sure.
I'm big on the Kanye train, so I'm definitely super excited. And
I'm excited for the fact that if the tweets connect the same way that TLOP connected with like the structure or the subject matter, it's gonna be very like the tweets to me that he's doing and how like soulful and connected like the tweets feel and how emotional it is. I feel like, bro, we might get another like college dropout.
Okay. Okay. I gotta stop you right there. I'm sorry. I gotta stop you right there, man. Because I was just about to say. Oh, you give us some cool joke real quick. Because I was just about to say, like, when it comes to me, like, ever since Yeezus, I've been very hesitant and cautious with Kanye. Because anyone who knows me, I've come up with Kanye since I was in, like, the 10th grade, basically. Because College Dropout was, like, for me, basically. It's that one album that's, like, he has dope songs, he's not a gangster, he doesn't have to prove that he's a gangster, that he's hard, or is that he has, like, over a mountain machismo or anything like that. I got it, right? And I was with him. Even with the 808s and Heartbreaks, I was still with him, because there's still a concept behind it. But when he dropped Yeezus, I was like, man, what are you doing? Like, this ain't you, bro. Like, and then he started, hold on. I know. And we've had this discussion before on the air, too. That's a joke. And then he started dating Kim Kardashian and everything. I'm like, yo, you're getting yourself involved with the wrong element. And then he put out Life of Pablo. It's like, okay, it's better than Yeezus or Yeezus, but you can still do better. You know what I mean? You have a few good records on this album here and there, but the way the album was rushed, the way that it wasn't mixed properly, the way you had to change the title of the album 3 times, it's like,
don't do that.
No,
to me,
it's
bro.
serious. No, I
It's
had
important.
to.
I feel like there's
though.
so much importance in what TLOP did for the industry, man.
What did it
It's like-
do, though?
It's like
Yo, okay, there's a few things, right? And the one thing that I loved about it is that, like, there are so many aspiring musicians and artists in the world.
Yeah.
And, like, before that, there's this whole idea that your package has to be completely perfected. It's like, give us this when, like, everything is completely done. But, like, there's so much, especially in the time that we're in right now, where everybody wants to be a part of your entire life. There's so much to be said about what you are able to learn and how much you're able to be able to grow as an up and coming artist by being able to look at the process of TLOP and see somebody at a vulnerable point like that, and still put out a friggin' amazing project with the idea that if you take it in its context and the fact that it's the duality between like the money and the greed and like the soul and like the gospel side and like and like heaven and Christianity, like it's amazing, bro. It's amazing. It goes so well. And like the thing that I love about it as well is that it's the first time that we've seen Kanye take a step back. Like everybody knows, and like people talk about it all the time, that Kanye is he's a conductor.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I get that.
He's a person who takes a bunch of people and creates a beautiful project that's not only himself.
Right.
I think
the best example of that was My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy.
Yes, that was the transition point as well for him, because before that he was J. Cole. Before that, it was the Kanye show. It was like, I got to make sure that I produce 90% of this.
Right.
But
it sounded dope, though.
And it sounded dope, and it sounded amazing.
Yeah.
And that's where the split in fans happened. Because there's fans that like the J. Cole Kanye, and then there's the fans that like the new Kanye. That's more the conductor. I like both Kanyes. I love both Kanyes to death. I still go back to songs like 2 Words and Never Let You Down.
Right.
I still go back to all those because I love them. But then I transitioned and I gotta get on my ignorance.
Right. And like, don't get me wrong, I don't mind conductor Kanye, but like when the content kind of suffers for it, then it's just like
it doesn't suffer.
Stop saying that. It does, because listen, man. Yeah, listen right here, man. Because like I feel like with the Life of Pablo, it's just like, again, it was a rushed album, and it's like I get what you're saying, like packaging it all together is so difficult, but like you've been doing it this entire time up until that point, so like why couldn't you just package it up nicely for all of us to enjoy? For example, I'll put this on a minimalist example. If you're ordering a pizza and you get your pizza and the cheese is sliding off, and
that's not what it was.
Hold on. And the cheese is half melted, and the veggies aren't even cut properly. You're like, what the fuck is this?
That's not what he did,
though. But that's what he did, though. There was no clear, concise concept on Life of Pablo.
Yes, there is.
There barely was. It barely connected. If anything, it was a collection of a bunch of bangers, basically, with a few records that had a concept to it, but it didn't all intertwine like it normally does on his other projects. We've seen him do it before to perfection. He did not do it to perfection.
Okay, I will give you that he did not do it to perfection, but what he did, again, is he did not bring you a sloppy pizza. What he did was bring the oven to your house. No. He brought the oven to your house.
So was it Easy Bake Oven then, basically? Was it Easy Bake Oven? That's what it was? Was it Uber Eats? He gets Uber Eats?
Have you ever seen, what's that dude's name? If a Jamaican was a Uber Eats?
Which one was that?
He brings
I missed this
brings
one.
the man a half-eaten plate of food.
Wow.
And the man's like, B, you brought me a half-eaten plate of food. He's like, yo, you're lucky. He's like, what? A man gets hungry in his car and there's a plate of food there. I'm not going to eat piece of the food, fam? Take the food. I was dying, B.
And that's what Kanye did for me with that album. That's what Kanye did for me. I'm sorry, man.
We'll
I was like, it wasn't a bad album, but it's just like, there was very little replay value for me.
We'll agree to disagree, because I replay that almost every day of my life.
I can't, man. It's hard for me to do it.
That's like definitely easily top 3 albums. I want to say top 2 Kanye albums.
What? Top 2?
You're gonna hate what.
Listen,
you're gonna hate what number 2 is.
That album is not topping Graduation. I'm sorry. It's not topping My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. Like, you are.
For me,
you are
Jesus
mad.
and TLOP.
Wow.
Are amazing.
Those are his 2 worst albums in my
opinion.
So big. Those are his 2 worst albums. Oh my god. Like, that's why I'm hesitant to go into with this one. I'm like, I'm gonna wait, give it like a month or whatever, wait till all the hype dies down, listen to it for my own accord, and then I'll be the judge of that. Cause like,
you better turn off all social media.
I don't know, man. I just don't trust Kanye, man. I'm sorry, man.
Actually,
like
in every single one of everything that I do.
I bet you will.
Instagram photo, every Instagram
I
story,
bet you will.
I'm actually all of it, just crying. I'm gonna be like, oh my god, it's so amazing.
I bet you will. Oh man, I bet you will. Jeez Louise.
But let's discuss the fact that, like, my thing is, Kanye and Cudi are together. We know Cudi's caliber.
Right.
We know that if Kanye and Cudi did an album that's dropping June 8th, then Cudi was definitely involved in the June 1st Kanye album. We don't know too much about who else was involved.
Right.
But I feel like that's enough for me. Because, like, Kanye and Cudi are 2 of my favorite artists ever. So, like...
It's been a minute since I listened to Cudi, to be honest. So I don't know what to expect from Cudi on this project. So I'm not even saying that as a diss. Like, I generally don't know what to expect.
I feel like, to me, that's another thing is that, like... And this is why I feel like there's also a disconnect, is Kanye and Cudi are very similar in regard to... Matt, like, yo, we are a generation that suffers from depression, anxiety, a lot of, like, dark things.
Right.
And those 2 people suffer from it heavy.
Right.
And that's why, like, he's not going to stay, he wouldn't stay in the path of, like, the light. And when he did Yeezus, when he did Dark Twisted Fantasy, when he did TLOP, and that's why TLOP was kind of that like mix between the dark and the light, is because like he's worth $150 million and his wife is worth $150 million. There's a lot of light. There's a lot of light that you have to consider.
Right.
But he still has to fix a lot of darkness.
Right.
I mean, Jay-Z's worth $1 billion and he's fucking dark as fuck. Have you seen the David Letterman, Jay-Z?
I still haven't actually.
Man, it's such an awkward
Really?
interview. Because we'll get into it.
Okay.
Anyways, but in conclusion with the Kanye situation, I just feel like, man, you can't go wrong. These are two people, I feel like they're coming together to bring the light back fully.
Right.
That's why I'm saying graduation.
We'll see.
It's graduation, and then there's a lot of undertones of the darkness.
We'll see, man.
It's gonna be everything that you want in the front, but it's gonna be us in the back, the dark people in the back conducting, and we'd be like, yeah. We'd be like, oh, you didn't like the electric sounds on Yeezus? I bet. But they're in the background of this bitch and you're still bobbing your head.
Ladies and gentlemen, what do you think? What do you think? Are you guys excited for the new J. Cole album? Are you excited for the new Kanye album coming out soon? Let me know. Hit me up at Cool Radio CC on all social media platforms to share your thoughts.